He's world rank number 83, but don't let that world ranking fool you. The more he plays on the world tour, the quicker that will rise. And speaking of the rise, it is the Dark Knight, world rank number 4, 23-year-old Lin Gaoyuan. One of the fastest, if not the fastest player in the world. He's been given many opportunities and he's played very well, but on a few occasions has had the match stolen out from underneath him. We will see what happens here. He played the final in Incheon, Korea at the World Tour Grand Finals. Tomokazu Harimoto was just too strong. So for the coin toss, we will see Wang Chuqin. It appears maybe he said serve. Lin Gaoyuan chooses the right side of the table. Now two left-handed players. It's always interesting for me to see. You might think, oh, well, surely they're used to left-handed players, but while it might seem that way, that's actually not the case. Left-handed players, while they're disproportionately represented in table tennis, meaning they come in a little bit more frequently than say 1 in every 9 people, give or take, is left-handed in table tennis at the top level. It's a bit more frequent than that. You can look at the top 10, for example, between Timo Boll, Xu Xin, forgot who else is in there, Lin Gaoyuan. You've got already at least 3 out of 10. But they're also not used to playing left-handed players as often because still the majority are right-handed, even here in table tennis at the world-class level. So I was talking with Ugo Calderano at lunch briefly about his match with Wang Chuqin, some of the difficulties and struggles here and there and what was so strong, and just sort of sharing also, after listening for a while, some of my thoughts about the differences between Lin Gaoyuan and Wang Chuqin. And for me, Lin Gaoyuan's game is much more standard. It's very technically sound, it's very fast, it's very strong. But in terms of consistency, it's questionable. Now, Wang Chuqin, to me, is the more dangerous player. Stays a little bit closer to the table at times. He's not afraid to serve long. He's got outstanding service variation. He's quick in the rallies and a little bit less predictable. So again, Lin Gaoyuan with the speed. And I hate to say inconsistent. It's simply that he's been beaten by foreigners more than others, although Wang Chuqin has suffered his losses as well. So for the second time in relatively recent history, it was about a year ago, he played the final against Fan Zhendong here and was beaten. Fan Zhendong last year took 3 titles, but could not defend his title here. Lin Gaoyuan, a fascinating conversation. He's got an incredible attitude. I mean, he's so kind, he's so humble, and he's so thankful. He always seems to be in a fine mood, even if you catch him after a tough loss, and he's had some of the toughest losses in recent history. Other players want to duck away sometimes, take some time to themselves, but this 23-year-old, the 3rd seed, world rank number 4, Lin Gaoyuan, runner-up at the World Tour Grand Finals, to Harimoto, 2 semifinal performances in Korea and China, is now already here in the final. Playing a young player who said, no matter who I play, whether it's Xu Xin or Lin Gaoyuan, I'm going to be playing someone who's better than me. I feel like the Chinese national team players are very well trained to speak humbly, diplomatically, but also honestly. Wang Chuqin knows that, quite frankly, Lin Gaoyuan is the better player. He's got more experience. He's been on the world tour more, knows the game a little bit better. Attila Pettuvari, who I talked to about Hungarian pronunciation, Pettuvari. Again, I'm far from fluent. On the other side, we got our Russian assistant umpire. It is Ludmila Gryaznova. So Wang Chuqin, so fascinating for me to watch because he's dangerous. He keeps a lot of balls in play. And even against Fan Zhendong in the last round, was able to win points on the chase. Just sort of fishing it back with topspin, keeping the ball in play on the run. His backhand is quite unpredictable. He goes anywhere on the table, generates a lot of speed. For me, he's also one of the fastest players on the Chinese national team. maybe just a step behind Lin Gaoyuan. So making sure the rubber is firmly glued to the racket. That to me is a good sign that the rubber is freshly glued since his last match. So it's a best of 7. I'll tell you a bit about how these players got here in a minute. There's just so much to talk about between these two surprise visitors. Lin Gaoyuan, the 3rd seed, not a big upset to be here, not that much of a surprise. World rank number 83 had a long way to come to get here. And he takes the first point on the receive, Wang Chuqin. Two points in a row, the spinny backhand on the middle of the table. Lin Gaoyuan's going to find a rhythm and find ways to get quick, decisive shots. Now that's one of the best strengths for me of Wang Chuqin, is how quickly he decides to take a shot. Seems very clear on his intentions, and there's very little hesitation. Not sure what the apology was for there. Maybe simply that he didn't have to deal with the shot from Wang Chuqin. Got a little bit of a break early in the rally. Ooh, speaking of breaks, service error. Now I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, Wang Chuqin is very bold in the service game and serves long more than almost anybody I've seen at this level. The cracking forehand to the short side, again, unafraid, taking some chances here. If he starts to settle in and make these shots with a higher percentage, it's going to force Lin Gaoyuan to be very clever. So the first towel break, they're tied up, and I'll tell you who they beat to get here, who they have beaten to get here. Wang Chuqin, well, in the first round, beat Matthias Falk. Following that, Simon Gauzy, Ugo Calderano, and Fan Zhendong. And on the other side, Lin Gaoyuan, he beat Chao Zihao. The first round, Fang Bo, then Vladi Samsonov, and Xu Xin. So Lin Gaoyuan had the more Chinese players. But fair enough with Ugo Calderano, Simon Gauzy on the other side, and Fan Zhendong. I think they both had their hands full of work to take care of. A little bit off the top of the net, but good power from Lin Gaoyuan to tie it up. This one looked like it wanted to crawl over the net, but it did not scale the net. Very crisp and clean forehand. That's sort of the style for Lin Gaoyuan. He's got a very clean game. Soft touch, heavy rotation, realizes this one's coming along from the middle of the table, still finds a corner that's out of reach. For the second time, we've seen a ball come quite close to coming over the net. Some of those net balls set up the most amazing shots of the year. Was talking to Marcos Freitas earlier today about that Timo Boll diving shot against Lin Gaoyuan. I only bring that up because Marcos Freitas noticed something as we come into the second towel break that I simply didn't notice, and I don't think many people did. When Simon Gauzy had the diving shot this tournament against Wang Chuqin, he was lying on his chest next to the table. Wang Chuqin was already holding the racket in a closed fist, meaning he thought the point was over, was simply standing there, still managed to make the shot. But there's no question that shot would have been in the top 10 if Simon Gauzy had won the point, chode while lying flat down next to the table. Would have been quite an exciting moment. Lin Gaoyuan, second serve up 7-6. Oh, look at this spin, sneaks it out from the back of the table. Now this is something that he was very effective earlier today in doing, recognizing an opportunity on a push that comes just long. Look at that ball. Even in the replay, I was convinced that it was going to bounce a second time on the table. And I already know what's going to happen. That's crazy. What agility. Lin Gaoyuan to cover the middle with that forehand and get right back into position. Flower Girl in the crowd saluting Lin Gaoyuan. There's the save. And then the power to the open forehand. That wide forehand side. Now this comes from experience as well. Wang Chuqin, again, used to playing right-handed players. So he's going to have an advantage playing the ball from the backhand corner with the forehand. But he's going to be a little bit more exposed with Lin Gaoyuan hitting that bending forehand out wide to the forehand side. For me, Wang Chuqin occasionally is going to have to open up parallel down the line on the forehand side. Love these rallies. Power for power. They both get so much strength and speed on the ball. Look at this receive. There it is, the wide forehand early. It's what I wanted to see from Wang Chuqin, expose that wide forehand. Just the same way Lin Gaoyuan has done many times in the rally and the counter loops. Keep him in check. Make sure that he doesn't turn the corner too early. So with the third towel break, once again, they are dead even. 3 points every single time. Nice change of placement here. Lin Gaoyuan playing it parallel down the line to that wide forehand. And a push that looked like it could have gone either way, been pushed back. Lin Gaoyuan decided, you know what? I'm going to find a placement here. Find a spot to that wide forehand and make you run. Game point to Lin Gaoyuan. Oh, that forehand, so much power. I mean, they both have just really strong power, and it's not quite the same in terms of Liang Jingquin getting tons of rotation on the ball. Fan Zhendong as well, but these guys drive the ball forward with so much racket speed. Very strong in the rally. So here we are, deuce in game number 1. Big opening forehand, Lin Gaoyuan against his fellow teammates. Looks very, very strong, and occasionally, I think the first time I saw him play Harimoto, he looked so dominant. Lin Gaoyuan. But here he is on the receive with game point. Forehand just long. Wang Chuqin escapes. Good flick, just enough. Not a lot of rotation on it, but an awkward ball into that forehand. And Wang Chuqin not able to counter back. Game point to Lin Gaoyuan once again. Just missing the short side for the around the net attempt. Lin Gaoyuan playing that angle off the bounce. That's the timing, that's the speed that I was talking about. Again, as fast as Wang Chuqin is, who is closer to the table throughout game 1? Lin Gaoyuan. That's reaction time, that's racket speed, it's sheer speed. Look how wide his stance is. Trying to stretch the feet out there to reach the ball. Wang Chuqin with an outstanding game 1, but simply outplayed by a narrow margin, 13-11. The Dark Knight leads. We'll be back for game 2 of the men's singles final right after this. Back game number 2. The Flower Girl with the wave. Wang Chuqin down 0-1. Right into the body, perfect shot. Leaves the arm behind just a little as he sees that Lin Gaoyuan's preparing for the cross-court forehand. Just a little bit off balance, falling back for this shot. A little bit of self-coaching there. Guide the ball forward, stay in.